All right, what's up, everyone? I think I'm live, but my YouTube interface is being behind. There we are. All right, what's up, everyone? So I'm just gonna set up my chat here. There we go, and make sure everything's looking good. Okay, I'm having some problems right now, but hopefully I can fix it. All right, chat is working, and now I'm gonna just start really quickly with a weekly update, just like catching you guys up on what's up on my side, and then if anyone comes in and asks me any questions, I can take any questions. For now, here's a weekly update, guys. I hired a developer. It's actually a student who used to be pretty active in the community in the Discord server a couple years ago. Uh, she went off to university and is actually like a lecturer of coding and programming. So she and I got in touch, and now we're getting started on actual work. And here's basically what you guys can look forward to if you're interested in what I'm up to. Um, the it's actually hard to explain because it doesn't exist in the world. Like it's gonna be the first time. Like I just never seen it anywhere in the world. So I don't really have a clear reference point to use to explain what it is. But basically, it's a tool that allows you to learn way more when you're reviewing a practice test. So the problem that I see with students is that when they solve a practice test, um, the way they review it is so god awful. Like there is basically close to zero learning when they're done reviewing the practice test. What am I talking about? This is the stereotypical, the typical way that students review a practice test. Okay, they take a practice test, they do it within time. Now, who cares that they actually have to rush on 7 questions in module 2 and rush on like 3 questions in module 1? And some of those questions were just absolute guesses, and they didn't even fully read the passage, and they don't know any of the words. And who cares what actually happened? No matter what happens, the kid will, as soon as they're done with the practice test, they will go straight to their score. And so it turns out, oh, they got a 630. And then when they get the 630, they go straight to question number 3, because you know why? Because it's red. Because it's red. So that's the one they need to review. They need to review the one they got wrong. And then they go to question 3, and then they look at A, B, C, D. And this literally happens in 2 minutes after they're done solving the practice test. They look at A, B, C, D, and they look at the correct one. And it's like, oh, God, I should have known that one. It was 50-50. I should have chosen that one. And then they move on to question 7. It's ludicrous. It's like the worst review in the world. Like, how do you learn anything during that time? You know? So in tutoring, I teach, I actually assign my students a certain way of reviewing. And so I'm going to turn that assignment into an app so that they can do it without me having to um, like breathe heavily over them, or breathe down their necks is what I meant. Breathe heavily over them. That's just like kind of creepy. Breathe down their necks, or like to like threaten their livelihoods with by forcing them to do this thing, right? So yeah, I'm developing an app for this, and I am quite sure that anyone who uses the app to study, to review their practice tests, is going to instantly learn like 5 times more than they're currently learning right now. So really excited about this app. Really excited for my team member, and I want to be able to introduce her more formally, I guess, to the world. But it's chaotic right now, man. I'm like teaching 5 I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like starting to prepare my classes at 6:15 in the morning. I'm teaching at 9 in the morning, and I'm done teaching at like 4 p.m. By that point, I've already been awake for almost 11 hours, and I'm exhausted. And then I try to use like 4:30 to 6 o'clock doing a little bit more work. Then I get dinner, and then I do more work, and I'm trying to guide the app development. I'm trying to do the marketing for the YouTube. Last week I was mostly just focusing on recruiting and onboarding the developer. So I haven't, and then I work on Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays I do these streams, and then I do my planning for the week, like for my business. And then Saturdays, I'm trying to make Saturdays my marketing day, but it's never been successful because usually there's a bunch of other tasks that I have to attend to. So it's chaos right now with my life, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to this, the next step with this course, which is going to be this app. So that's the update. I am working on this app, guiding the developer, onboarding the developer, and looking forward to launching some beta version of it on my tutoring students first to make sure that things are working as intended, and then eventually to releasing it for the world before the August SAT. And when I release it to the world, I'll release it in the form of, I think, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure I will release it in the form of a live stream. So I'll have a live stream where I solve a practice test that I created. I solve a practice test that I created in the app that we develop. So then that will be the official debut of that app, as well as a new practice test that has never graced the face of this earth. That practice test that I wrote that will show up in a stream by maybe early August, so that you have a couple weeks to solve that practice test and go into the August SAT with it. So yeah, lots of work to do. Trying not to stay crazy while juggling all these balls at the same time. But yeah, lots of work to do. But I'm not staying crazy because I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm very excited about what's happening. All right, Wei Ming, what's up? Cross-text. I mean, cross-text is one that requires multiple skills. So I honestly think if you want to do cross-text well, the first thing you need to do well is overall structure. And you do overall structure, and then main purpose. And then when you can get to the place where intellectually you can predict the overall structure and main purpose questions in your own words, right? If you can predict the answer without looking at the answer, that's when you can start moving to cross-text connections. And then you just add the additional twist where now there are two of them, and there's like the anchoring claim, and then there's the perspective claim, the perspective that you have to take. So then you take the perspective, and then you make a prediction for the anchoring claim. And that is actually not that hard once you master overall structure. And when I say master, I don't mean brute force through process elimination. If you have to brute force overall structure questions and main purpose questions, you could get 10 out of 10 overall structure, part function, main purpose. I'm gonna say this again. I'm a little sleepy. It's the weekend. This is when I'm catching up on sleep, but you can get 10 out of 10 questions right out of the overall structure, part function, and main purpose questions. But if you're getting them right through brute force, then you're actually spending way too much time on it, and that's why you're actually suffering on some of the other question types, like the evidence question types or the inference question types. you're just spending way too much time on it because of the brute force. So when I say master those questions, I mean specifically you need to be able to predict the answer. You need to be able to be like, you need to read the passage and be like, oh yeah, the main purpose is to disprove this hypothesis. Oh, the main purpose is to depict, to characterize this main character as adjective. Like you need to be able to predict that on your own, and then you look at A, B, C, D, and then you'll notice that one of those answers like pop out at you because it's exactly what you were thinking. Main purpose, overall structure, part function questions are immensely predictable. You can predict it. You just need to train your brain to do it. Once you do that, cross-text questions become not trivially easy because sometimes they're like really dense. Like sometimes there's like a lot of like confusing words, but it becomes much more manageable. So that's my general advice for cross-text questions. Beyond that, I mean, there's really specific techniques for the hard questions, and they're not really specific to cross-text questions. But there's like techniques of like threading and identifying the logic chains. These are things I talk about more in detail in my course, but I talk about them in my free streams as well. When you are making threads between various characters and stuff like that. So it's just that is just an advanced reading skill, and that applies to all questions, not just cross-text questions. It's all hard questions, not just cross-text questions. And so you have to layer on the general reading skills on top of the sort of ability to predict that question type. And then if you can layer them all correctly, then cross-text questions become fairly easy. Like if you want like a quick and dirty tip, honestly, I guess the quick and dirty tip is read the question stem. Seriously. Because a lot of errors can be caught by just reading the question stem. But then I'm guessing Wei Ming, I feel like I've seen your name before. That's not really your issue. Your issue is probably figuring out the logical relationships between the two. And if you give me an example of a really hard one, and I know maybe not all examples can be discussed, but yeah, but if you give me an example, I could help you more specifically. But that's the paradox with hard questions. The hard questions is that the problem with hard questions, like if you're already 720 or above and you're really focusing on the hardest questions, the paradox is that there's not really one thing you have to do right. You have to do like 3 things right at the same time. And that's why it's hard for me to just give you a single tip, because I could give you a single tip, but then what if it's the other 2 things? What if it's the other 2 things that's messing you up, right? It's like it's like many things at once. So, and I guess the big picture thing I could say is that you're never going to improve on those multiple skills if you just keep brute forcing everything by process elimination. Like process elimination does not teach you to identify threads. It does not teach you to attach attributes to characters. It does not teach you to understand the transitions in the passage, because process elimination is not about reading. It's about just minimizing errors by statistically identifying connections that seem correct. It's just it's not about reading. Yes, but practicing, it depends on how you practice. So the question is, is the only way to keep practicing? Yes, it is. But again, it's I gave you my initial answer. Don't just practice the dumb way, which is to solve a practice test and then to be like, you solve a practice test. The cross-text question was like question number 8, right? You go straight to mypractice.collegeboard.org. You go straight to your score. Your score is like 720. You go straight to module 1. On module 1, question 8, you got it wrong. It's in red. You go straight to question number 8, and then you realize that you chose B, but the correct answer is D, and then you start reverse engineering why D is correct. That is awful way of practicing. Okay, it's an awful way of learning. That's not how you learn. If you do that, you're gonna shut your brain off so quick that you're not gonna learn anything from that passage. What you need to do is you need to go back and reread. You need to retake the entire test. Really, ideally, you should you should solve modules 1 and module 2 again with unlimited time, so that on your first take, you might have scored a 720, But on your second take, you should be you should be scoring like a 750, right? You should have a higher score. Without knowing your previous score, without knowing your first take score, you should be able to get a higher score. So, and then you should be trying to predict and all that stuff for what I was saying for you earlier, which is main purpose, overall structure, and part function questions. By being able to predict those questions, the cross text questions would become a lot easier. All right, guys. I have maybe 5 more minutes. I gave my personal update, the course update, and yeah, wartime. I think I've seen your name before. I think I have, right? You've been here before. Also, actually, these like YouTube features. Oh, dude, what is this top fan thing? You are a top fan, but I don't know what that means. When did they launch this feature? But hey, wartime. The YouTube tells me you're a top fan, so here. Thank you, brother. Thank you, sister. Thank you, whatever you are. Dude. Are you able to retake practice tests on College Board? Yes, you actually can. You can with. You have to submit it and actually get your score. But just because you got your score doesn't mean you can see your score. Okay. To see your score, you have to actually go to the website. So the good news is you don't. You can submit your score and still not see your score, and then you go back into Bluebook and then you solve it again. Actually, the way I do it for my tutoring students is I tell them to take a screenshot. I tell them to take a screenshot every time they answer a question. I don't tell them to go back into the Bluebook. I tell them to annotate their screenshots for tutoring, and then they come to class. For my tutoring classes, they come to class with all of their original answers because their original answers are in the screenshot. But then if they made any final answers where they change their answer, then they can use like their annotation app for that. And then they do a bunch of other exercises that I asked them to do. And for my tutoring students, they come to my tutoring sessions with without knowing their score and without knowing which questions they got right or wrong, but with a beautiful set of 54 or more screenshots where they annotate everything, and they're ready to explain to me why their answer choices are correct. So that's the way I do my tutoring. If you can, you don't need to have a tutor to do that. I mean, obviously it helps, but you can kind of do that with yourself. You can take the screenshots, you can annotate them, and then you can try to persuade yourself that this is the correct answer, and then you look at the answer. And then when you do that, and then when you look at the answer, you're like, God, I thought I was right. and then you realize you're wrong, and then you can review the answer explanation. For my tutoring students, they take a screenshot for every single question during the practice test. That is why I'm developing the app, by the way, the app that I was the update that I gave you at the beginning of the stream. The reason I'm developing this app is because taking the screenshots and all these instructions, it's just a lot of like hassle. And I want this app to improve the tutoring experience for my actual tutoring clients. But actually, I want to, and this should come out in maybe a month, but I want to kind of let people who can't afford my tutoring have a sort of like soft version of my tutoring, and I want to some extent, I want to obsolete my own tutoring for the world. I really think the app that I'm building could change reading education like forever. just because right now reading education is such shit. I mean, imagine if a math teacher said, "Oh, dude, you don't know the answer? Just plug in A and plug in B and plug in C and plug in D and see which one actually computes." Like, dude, is that math? Like, yes, I understand that as a one-off tactic, but imagine if that's literally what if that's literally what your math teacher was. It's awful. horrible. It's not a good. It's not good teaching. But why do we accept reading? Uh, why do we accept reading tutors who just explain why B is right and A and C and D are wrong by reverse engineering the explanations from the answer key? It's awful. So yes, I'm very excited for this app. No promises, obviously, on the quality on version one. But if you are, if you're interested, if you want, I mean, I would love you guys to use the app when it's there on release day. Release day, it will be like we're gonna build this quick, hacky, fast, and as high quality as possible. But there might be some bugs, so help me out, help us out when it comes out. And just for anyone who missed the announcement at the beginning, I am planning on releasing 2 practice tests before the August SAT through this app, so that you can review more intelligently. Okay, guys, so that's it for the weekly update. Looks like there's no other questions. Guys, I hope that helped, and if it did help, please hit the like button. Drop some comments if you have any questions that I couldn't answer, or you can ask me questions in the Discord server. And yeah, just generally speaking, I'm always in the Discord server. Obviously, it's summer teaching period for me, so I'm extremely busy. But I checked the Discord server every day. It's like 7 weeks before the August SAT, so the server is not as like booming. It usually gets a little bit more active when it gets closer to the SAT test. But right now what that means is you're gonna hear a lot from me directly. So yeah, come to the Discord server, chat with me, and I'll see you guys in the next stream. Until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.